Welcome to the Third Generation Wrestling Podcast with your hosts, Eric and Rob.
Welcome in. It's Third Generation Wrestling Podcast. 3GW. Here on this SummerSlam weekend 2020, kicking it off here with my co-host, Mr. Rob. How you doing, sir? What is going on?
Mr. Eric, doing well, man. Doing well. You know, this is a big weekend for us. Not only is it SummerSlam, but we have 2 fantasy football drafts. So we look forward to this every year. It's going to be a busy weekend, but it's going to be a fun weekend, and I'm excited about it.
Yeah, man. 2 drafts. So tomorrow we got the league where, I guess we call it a league of record. You're the commissioner. You've been doing it, and it's not easy being a commissioner. Anybody out there that's ever been in charge of fantasy football knows that there's always a headache somewhere along. Either somebody doesn't pay or somebody doesn't show up. Whatever. You try and pick a venue if you do in-person drafts, which is what we do. So, well, it's all good. It worked itself out. So we're here to kick off SummerSlam weekend with something we haven't done in a while, a preview show. Well, we come on here. If you're new to 3GW, we get on here and we do our predictions, talk about a couple news items. And we try to keep this one short because we got tomorrow night the Takeover post-show. And, of course, the SummerSlam post-show. So, I guess without any further ado, we'll get right into some news items. And we're going to kick it off with surprising something that caught me off guard with Renee Young leaving the company. She is leaving WWE. According to Mike Johnson of PW Insider, reported Wednesday that longtime WWE host, interviewer, and announcer Renee Young has given WWE her notice and will leave the company soon. The news has yet to be confirmed, but if Young's WWE departure does indeed come to fruition, she reportedly may not be done with the wrestling business. Now, take this with a grain of salt. According to Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer, it is inevitable that Young will do some work with All Elite Wrestling at some point, although it likely won't happen in the immediate future since her WWE contract has a, quote, serious non-compete clause. So I guess non-compete means you can't announce either. Young is married to the AEW World Champion Jon Moxley, so there was instant speculation about her going to AEW as soon as her WWE departure was first reported. While Young has been with WWE since 2012, she is a multi-talented performer who could have more interest in projects outside of the wrestling world. It's very interesting because it's not like, in my opinion, it's not like WWE didn't do anything with her. Like, they tried everything. She was the very first female announcer on Monday Night Raw, and she would announce all the pay-per-views, and they even flew her over to Saudi for one of those shows. You know how much Mr. Rob loves those Saudi shows. But I don't know, man. I'm curious what you think and what you thought when you found out.
Well, like most everyone, sad to hear about Renee leaving. I don't know if I would say that I'm shocked, given the fact that her husband does work for AEW, but I'm not sure that means she automatically goes to AEW. As we know, Renee is big time, and I believe that ESPN courted her at one time, and WWE had to kind of compete with them. They won out, But to me, that's a big loss for WWE. Renee is great at what she does, but if what Meltzer is saying is true, and she ends up in AEW, that's a big get for them, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. I think. I don't know. I guess it just makes sense. I always wondered how long would it be before she left WWE because her husband did. Same. I had the same thought when CM Punk left. Well, how long before AJ Lee leaves? And it wasn't long. So it'd be curious to see. I think she is supposed to still work SummerSlam. So that'll be curious to see how that goes. So and then I guess the biggest news of today actually is the introduction of the Thunderdome concept. So for those that don't know, WWE has gone out of the PC. They're no longer in the Performance Center, doing the shows, taping the shows out of the Performance Center. They have moved to the Amway Center, which is still in Orlando, and they have introduced a new concept of a way for fans to still interact and still be present. Pretty much they copied the NBA. They're just taking what the NBA did, essentially LED boards with, fans. You can see their faces, and that's about it. But the arena is set up like it would be for a live show, and it looks really good. So I have to compliment WWE. As much grief as we give them for their missteps, it's only right that I compliment them when they do something right, and I think this is the right way to go. We did just check out the introduction to SmackDown, which is the debut of the Thunderdome. We both think it looks great. I mean, I'll let Mr. Rob give his thoughts.
Well, when I first heard that they were moving to the Amway Arena, I was kind of surprised. Like, why would you move to a bigger arena when you're doing when you only have a few people?
Yeah, no audience.
Right. But that was before I knew about the Thunderdome concept. Well, now that I've seen the finished product, I see exactly why WWE did this. With everything going on with COVID, this really is, to me, an awesome solution for WWE. Just like Mr. Eric said, we criticize WWE a lot, but and deservedly so. But we have to give them props on this. It really, really looks cool. It sounds cool, and it's probably the next best thing that we're going to get until we can all get back to being at live shows. So big props to WWE for this one.
And then I don't know if I don't know who sent it to the group chat. I think it was Blake about AEW having fans attend pretty soon. Now, when it comes to that, I think because it's an outdoor venue and they're only talking 10, maybe 15% capacity, I think that could work. And the only reason I say that is because I recently went to the zoo and, everybody's outside. People still wear masks, especially in congested areas, and it does get congested at some points. So I just feel like if the zoos can be open and people can handle that, I don't see why you can't have live sports. It's just really limited capacity, and as long as it's outdoors. So I guess we'll see what happens with that. Now, switching gears a little bit, and it'll probably be our last news topic. So, a while back, the Velveteen Dream had some accusations come out about him sending inappropriate photos to minors of himself. And shortly after that, he was involved in a car accident. I think the car accident came after that. So he was pretty much down for the count, and recently Triple H has come out defending the Dream and saying, and I read the article. The article was on SC Scoops, and pretty much detailed the fact that Triple H is just ready to move on. He's just tired of being asked about it in conference calls. It's Triple H's quote was they looked into it and they didn't find anything, so we're moving on. And that's pretty much where we're at right now. I mean, allegations are just that. And the day and age we live in with technology, things can be forged, things can be hacked. Somebody could hack your account, get your photos that you may have sent to your significant other, and then decide, oh, I'm going to forward these to some boys. And then now Patrick Clark's in trouble when he didn't do anything. I mean, how many superstars, celebrities have been caught either doing, pornos or naked photos get released? I mean, I don't know. I mean, we support Dream. We love the Velveteen Dream, but we just want to make sure that we're not out of here supporting the wrong type of person. I don't believe in my heart that to me, these things can happen. Now, if it comes out later on that it's true, then I'll have to change some statements I've made on here. But as far as right now, I'm siding with Triple H.
Yeah, I agree. And not just because I'm a fan of the Dream, but I have to assume that WWE, given the seriousness of these allegations, I mean, anything involving inappropriate behavior involving anyone, but when it involves a child, that makes it especially heinous. But I'm assuming WWE has done their own research, due diligence, and I guess they feel comfortable moving on with the Dream. He was just in a match with Balor on NXT Wednesday night, a great match, by the way, and he qualified to be in the ladder match for the North American title, so he's in the title picture. I don't think they would do that unless they felt comfortable that the allegations were not serious and are unfounded.
Yeah. I mean, he's not the only one that's, under the radar or under the microscope, should I say. Matt Riddle, regardless of how we feel about him, I don't want to see anybody get in trouble, especially when it comes to sexual assault allegations, and they're not true. If I don't feel like they're true, because with the Matt Riddle situation, and I'm gonna leave it here, it just feels like somebody got their feelings hurt, so they wanted to be spiteful, and that's all I got to say about that. Well, we've got SummerSlam and NXT this weekend, and it's been a while. I mean, this takeover, and Mr. Rob, I think, good brother Blake mentioned as well, that this takeover doesn't really have that takeover appeal and that feel like, oh my God, takeover's tomorrow. Like, majority of the time, we're more excited for takeover than we are for the main roster show. I mean, we went to takeover last November and didn't. I mean, Blake went to Survivor Series, but Rob and myself did not. But we all did go to the takeover show. This one, while I can't say the card is bad, there's just something about the build-up. I don't know. Let me pull up the card, and we're going to go ahead and do some predictions. Let's see here. Get the laptop going. And looks like there are, per usual, 6 matches. And we're going to go ahead and get into the predictions of the NXT Takeover 30. So, the most recently added match is Finn Balor versus Timothy Thatcher, and I think this is kind of just something to add on to the show, which is fine. I think it'll be a good match. But based off what happened this past week, I'm going to go ahead and say Finn Balor wins.
Yeah, I'm the same. Balor wins for the same reasons you said. Balor just lost to the Dream. Thatcher's on the come up, but he's not at the point where he should beat Balor, so Balor wins.
Breezango, oh my God, versus Oni Lorcan and Danny Burch versus Legado del Fantasma. I mean, it's a triple threat tag team match to determine the number one contender for the NXT Tag Team Championship. Who is the NXT Tag Team? Oh, wait, no. Who are the NXT Tag Team Champions?
I thought it was Imperium.
It's Imperium still?
Yeah, that's what, yeah.
Okay. They haven't been on TV. So it's almost like, I think that's what's missing. Because NXT, is the brand that actually does the tag team division the right way. And as well as the women's division the right way. Interesting. Well, I'm definitely not picking Breezango, but you know what? Because I don't see them winning, they probably will. But I'm gonna go ahead and pick Legado del Fantasma. I think they're trying to push this new group to the moon, so I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, it's Legado del Fantasma. Birch and Lorcan, excuse me, they're good workers.
That's a bad name.
It is, yeah. They're good workers. Breezango, they're entertaining, and they can go too, but this is Legado del Fantasma spot, so they're going to win.
Oh, God, I really don't. Well, actually, you know what? I started to say I don't care because I saw the first name. I am not a fan of Bronson Reed. I'm sorry, I'm just not. But we got Bronson Reed versus Damian Priest versus Cameron Grimes versus Johnny Gargano, tentatively, versus the Velveteen Dream, a ladder match for the vacant North American Championship. Now, before NXT this past week, I would have picked Gargano, hands down. But because of that fall, and I don't know, he might still be in the match, but I don't see him being 100%. So I'm going to go ahead and say Damian Priest because I think he needs to win. And I think he's ready to be a champion. And I think it'll be good for him. I like Damian Priest. He's a different look. He reminds me of a grittier, sober Scott Hall.
Yeah, this one's a hard call for me. I am a fan of Bronson Reed. I know he doesn't have the typical look of a wrestler, but to me he's kind of like a
name.
Well, that could be. Yeah, I'm not crazy about the name either. But look, dude can go. I think he's a good worker. I still don't think he wins this match. And man, like I said, this one is a tough one to call. I'm going to go with Dream.
Okay.
That's who I'd like to see win. And because I can't really predict who I think is going to win, I'm going to say Dream.
All right. Not mad at that. So, after that, we got Io Shirai versus Dakota Kai with Raquel Gonzalez. The big NXT Women's Championship match. I think this is her first title defense? Or did she defend it once on NXT TV?
I know that she had a match against Sasha, but it wasn't a title match.
Right. So maybe this is her first title defense.
Yeah, because she's also had a match against Charlotte on TV, but that
wasn't. Yeah. Okay.
So, yeah.
Well, I'm going Io. I don't think she's gonna lose to Dakota Kai of all people. Even with Raquel Gonzalez, who is. If you don't follow her on Instagram, please do, because she does not look anything like her character in real life. She's gorgeous. So I'm going Io.
I'm going to go Io as well. And even though I'm kind of surprised that Dakota Kai got this spot. I will say that I have enjoyed her so much more as a heel than as a face. I think she does the role well. I think she's a convincing heel, but not convincing enough where I think she's going to be Io. Yeah, Io wins.
All right. I know how much everybody's looking forward to this match. Pat McAfee versus Adam Cole. I don't get it. I don't understand it. If they just needed something to do, if that was I don't get it. I guess Pat cut a decent promo this past week, but that's not gonna translate into in-ring capability. I mean, I don't really know how this is gonna go. I love Adam Cole, but I don't know. I mean, I'm interested to see how this goes, but does anybody really think Pat McAfee is gonna win this match? No. Adam Cole, baby.
Adam Cole better win. Okay? Look, Pat McAfee, he gave a great promo on Wednesday night. I'll give him props for that. But how he makes his wrestling debut against, to me, one of the top 5 in the business today, I mean, I don't get that. And if Adam Cole loses jobs to Pat McAfee, I mean, man,
Yeah, that's bad.
yeah, I'm going to be highly, highly upset about that. So, McAfee is going to make an impressive debut, probably, but Adam Cole should and hopefully will win.
Now, regardless of how this turns out, do you think this turns into McAfee wrestling on a regular? Or maybe not on a regular, but like every now and then, and he works his way up to being a wrestler? I don't know if that was. I think that was his goal from the start, because there have been a few NFL players that have tried and they just didn't have the charisma. He has a lot of charisma. I will give him that. I mean, he brings it as far as the personality goes, but physically, I mean, he was a punter, so I mean, he's not like. You know, this is not Sebastian Janikowski we're talking about here. I mean, I don't know. I guess I just had to see the finished product in order to gauge whether he should or shouldn't. And the final match, the main event, Keith Lee defending his NXT championship against Karrion Kross with Scarlett. And this one is tough because to the point Mr. Rob makes a lot is, you know, you got NXT. It's on a weekly basis now. It's on USA competing with AEW. So you can't call up everybody. You got to leave some stars that you create on the show. The problem is Keith Lee had such a good 2019 and had such good reactions against Roman Reigns, against Brock Lesnar. And he's not old by any means, but he's, as far as being a pro wrestler is concerned, he is old. He's 35. Compared to like Rhea Ripley, who's only 23. So, but this is really tough because I don't feel like Karrion Kross can afford to lose yet. The gimmick, personally, I don't think Karrion Kross should be in NXT. I think he should be on the main roster. I think he would be the perfect foil for Drew. But that's neither here nor there. Man. Karrion Kross. I'm going with Karrion Kross. And that is so hard for me to say. And I don't even want that to be the end, but I just feel like that's the way it's going to go. So that's all I got to say.
Well, I'm not as big a fan of Karrion Kross as you are. They've booked him strong, and he has the look. I like the gimmick. I thought the way he beat Ciampa, I thought that was a little over the top and unbelievable. But the build up to him and Keith Lee, they've made Cross look like the biggest threat to Keith Lee's title to this point. So that makes it intriguing. I like it. But I'm going Keith Lee. Cross has to lose sometime. So losing to one of the biggest stars in NXT, the champ, not a bad loss. So I'm going to say that Keith Lee gets over on this one, but it happens in a way where Cross still looks strong.
Yeah, I just don't. And I think that's the problem with today's. Not to say that what you said is wrong, but it's like we're so afraid to see somebody lose, and we think that's going to be the end, and it doesn't have to be. The reason why it becomes like this downfall is because the way they booked them after they lose. Prime example, Rhea Ripley. She won that NXT championship off Shayna Baszler, who ran through all of NXT. And then what do they do with her? They feed her to Charlotte. Granted, in my opinion, it was the best match on WrestleMania. Definitely the best match of night 2. And ever since, they didn't throw her into a revenge story. They didn't do anything. Right now, she's tagging with Shotzi Blackheart. It just blows my mind how they go from this person's up here and now this person's down here. Ricochet is another one. Cedric Alexander. Aleister Black. It's just so much talent being wasted.
Is Rhea even on the card?
Rhea's not on the card. As a matter of fact, so when they announced the Triple Brand Battle Royal to see who's gonna face Sasha, Rhea was the first person I thought of. Like, oh, that'll be a headliner. That'll be a great match. Not that I'm mad that Asuka's getting, all the attention she's getting, but I don't know. I think they need to spread the love in the women's division. But that's Takeover. Switching gears on to SummerSlam 2020. It's going to be an interesting show. I think these matches, I guess for our situation, it's a decent card, but it does not stack up to last year's card at all. You had Brock Lesnar on that card. The Fiend debuted, Goldberg, Trish Stratus, and Charlotte. There's just no comparing this one to last year. So, we're just going to take it as what it is. As the Street Profits, Lord, defend their Raw Tag Team Championships against Andrade and Angel Garza. Now, before we even predict it, what did you think of that whole poisoning of Montez Ford and Zelina going on and on about it not being her the one that did it, and then turned out she was the one that did it?
Yeah, I thought that was all just kind of a silly waste of time. Not really intriguing or interesting. As soon as we heard that Montez was poisoned, we knew either her or Andrade or Garza had done it. So we found out it was Zelina. Boring.
Yeah. It would have, what, it would have been nice? You've got this whole Retribution angle. Why not let them be the ones that did? Like, this isn't hard.
Right.
You've got it's like they lay foundation on stuff and then just walk away from it. Whatever. But in any event, I think the Street Profits will retain and continue on as Raw Tag Team Champions.
You know what? I actually think Garza and Andrade are going to pull off the upset here. It's SummerSlam. There's going to be a title change, maybe more than one, and I think this is one where the title changes hands. I like Andrade and Garza. I'm a little over the gimmick of Garza tearing off the pants.
Yeah.
Who wears green corduroys anyway? I think somebody said that on Raw a couple of weeks ago, and they're right. Kind of over that, but they're still a good tag team. And I'm going to predict the upset and say that they win.
All right. Not mad at that. I am kind of mad that this match is happening. Apollo Crews versus MVP for the United States Championship. I feel like this should be Bobby Lashley, or at the very least Shelton Benjamin. MVP is supposed to be the mouthpiece of this group. Why is he getting the spotlight? That's my only problem. And the other problem is like they booked themselves into a corner. You're trying to push Apollo, but you got the Hurt Business. the Hurt Business, and all they do is lose. So it's like, well, if they lose again Sunday, what does that say about their group? And then Apollo loses, he's gonna end up right alongside Ricochet. So that being said, I'm actually gonna say MVP wins.
Wow, that's crazy because I'm actually going to predict that as well. But what I will say is, like you said, they're trying to push Apollo Crews, but you're not doing him any favors by booking him against MVP. Like you said, that should be Lashley's spot or Benjamin's. But since they are both banned from ringside, it would be easy to predict Apollo. So I actually think, and this is just one of my out-of-the-box predictions, I think maybe somebody like Cedric Alexander comes down, or maybe Ricochet comes down and helps out MVP and maybe joins the Hurt Business. So I'm going to say that's how MVP wins.
That's actually intriguing because wasn't it this past Monday he was talking to Cedric? Yeah. So that hey, you might be on something. All right. Really curious to get your take on this one, as Dominic Mysterio makes his in-ring debut solo. Well, his father will be at ringside. Versus Seth Rollins in a street fight. Hey, Mandy. This is interesting. First of all, props to Dominic for taking his initiation into WWE, because my God, I actually watched that, and they wore him out with those kendo sticks. I mean, those shots, front to back, side to side. I mean, laying them in, and the welts and the bruises and the cuts from those kendo sticks, and he took it. They got somewhat of a comeuppance this past week on Monday Night Raw when Ray returned and Dominic came out with the kendo stick, but nothing like what he got. So, it's a street fight, and even though it's a street fight, and that will help Dominic, I think, especially with his in-ring debut, I still think Seth Rollins wins. I don't think he's going to lose to Dominic on his very first match. It could happen. I mean, Chris Jericho did lose to Fandango at WrestleMania, so anything's possible. But I'm going to go ahead and say, oh my God, the Monday Night Messiah wins the match.
Yeah, even though it's a street fight, and we all know what that means, is that if Ray interferes, it's legal, or if Murphy interferes, it's legal.
I know you hate that.
I do, man. I do, and we don't need to go over that. If people listen to the podcast, they know how I feel about that. But there's just no way I can see Dominic winning this one. I don't think he should win it. Not against Seth Rollins. Not against Seth Rollins. So I'm going to say Rollins wins. I feel pretty confident about that. Something crazy, ridiculous would have to happen for Dominic to win. That could happen, but it wouldn't be believable. Seth Rollins should win this easily.
Well, I think it'll be a challenge, but I think he will win. All right. So I think it's proper that we do these back to back because they're facing the same person. So Sasha Banks with Bayley, and Bayley with Sasha Banks, both defending their individual Raw and SmackDown Women's Championships against Asuka in 2 separate matches. So I'm going to start with Sasha versus Asuka. See, this is tough. This is another situation where they booked themselves in a corner. Because you can't have Asuka not win at all. Because you bury her. And then, if you look at Sasha Banks, every single time she's defended that Raw Women's Championship, on the first defense, she's lost. Every time. She's never won a title defense. So it's either you continue that trend, or you dethrone Bayley. Or does Asuka beat them both? It's tough. But I gotta put it out there. And that's the one I'm going with. I'm going with Asuka's walking away. Asuka 2 belts.
Wow, well, like you always say, I am not mad about that. I love me some Asuka, but got to keep it real. I don't think she can beat both. I think that she will beat one of them. I'll say that she beats Bayley, and I'll also say that somehow Sasha inadvertently causes it to happen, and we'll finally see the seeds start to plant for the what we know is going to happen, the eventual breakup of Sasha and Bayley. It's got to happen at some point. Maybe you have it happen now, and you have that slow build to Mania where we finally get the match we've all been waiting to see for so many years, Bayley versus Sasha. I think this will be where that seed is planted, and I think it will happen because Sasha will cause Bayley to lose to Asuka.
That could very well be the case too, because they do have to build towards that. And I guess it would be more intriguing if one of them has a championship. So I guess we'll see. That's an intriguing one. And speaking of Mandy, we got Mandy Rose finally versus Sonya Deville. I feel like they should have been had a match on the pay-per-view, but hey, we're getting it now. It's Mandy versus Sonya in a hair versus hair match. This would have been more compelling if they didn't already do the haircut angle on Mandy. So, and we all know behind the scenes, Sonya Deville, not that it means anything, we don't judge, but it's just, we all know what her orientation is. So, she's totally getting her head shaved. She's the one going to cut her hair. Mandy Rose is finally going to win. And Mandy's going to come back and probably have a different look and a different gimmick. It's not a bad thing.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think this is a situation where both of these ladies are going to come out looking better and stronger after this, because Mandy's going to get a big win, a solid win. But Sonya, she's going to get the haircut, but I think it's going to make her, a more badass character, a very unique, very, very strong heel type. We've seen that she can do promos, and I think this could be the evolution of a whole new Sonya Deville. I think both of these ladies come out of this better, but Mandy wins.
Does Otis get involved?
I'm going to say no. I'm just going to say the two ladies go at it, no interference.
All right. Okay. Braun Strowman versus The Fiend Bray Wyatt for the Universal Championship. Now, with this whole thing with Alexa Bliss, I gotta think she's gonna play some kind of role in this. So, I'm torn here too, but I'm gonna go. I guess I'm gonna go the easy route. I'm gonna go with the obvious answer, and that's Bray Wyatt beats Braun Strowman finally and regains his Universal Championship. Braun had a good run, but I think it's time for it to go back on the Fiend. And honestly, the Fiend having more opponents or more like you could put him up against the AJ. You could put him up against some people might not like this, but a Baron Corbin or Matt Riddle even. You can do a Big E. So I mean, there's so many ways they can go with the Fiend. Whereas with Strowman, I just feel like his feud just feels so limited because not that he can't go in the ring, but he is limited on the mic. So for all those reasons, and I'm long-winded with my answer, but yeah, I'm going with the Fiend.
I'm going with the Fiend as well, but I'm still not a fan of the Fiend. I just don't think the character is interesting. But I think that Braun will lose because Alexa Bliss will play some part in it. They didn't have the Fiend get her involved for no reason. It's got to evolve into something. We don't see her doing much with Nikki anymore. So I think there's going to be a continuing storyline with the Fiend and Alexa after this match.
Yeah. Not sure what that's going to be. I mean, they're not going to do the Fiend versus Alexa. Let's be real. But it'll be interesting. And then last but not least, the real main event. Drew McIntyre defending his WWE Championship against the Legend Killer, the Viper, Randy Orton. And I'm going to say, Drew, you had a good run, buddy. But you ran to the Legend Killer. And there's going to be a big punt to the head and a new champion.
Wow. I have to say, this one is tough for me to call. I have enjoyed the build-up to this match. Randy Orton is just doing some of the best work he's ever done. He's been just the worst heel, including a punt to the head of my GOAT, Ric Flair. Drew McIntyre has really come into his own as champion. He's got the look. He's got the in-ring work. He's got the promos. This is a great main event. But I'm going to say Drew retains. But of all the predictions I've made for both of these cards, that's the one I am the least comfortable with. Because I could easily see Orton winning, but I'm going to say Drew pulls it out.
All right. Well, I would be remiss if we didn't talk about something we haven't talked about on this podcast yet. Two things, actually. One, Raw Underground. Interesting concept, and I will give them kudos for trying something different and new. My only issue is you're telling your audience that this Raw Underground thing is the real fighting, and this other stuff that they cut away to is the not so real fighting. Like, this is the real stuff down here, the real gritty, we're hitting, bare-fisted, bare hand fight, even though they're still work punches. But that's what you're telling your audience is what I'm getting at. So that's my only beef with. Other than that, I think it looks good. It's dark. They got the right people down there. When you get Shayna Baszler looks great down there. Even Nia looked good down there, I thought. I don't hate the concept. I think it could use some fine tuning. But I just don't know what's the end goal of it, I guess, is what I want to know. And what are they looking to achieve from doing this?
Yeah, I'm in agreement. I think they might have something. When I first heard about it and when I first saw it, I'm like, I don't know. But as it's gone on, I've been intrigued by it. Like you, I'm wondering what the end game is. Are we going to have a Raw Underground champion, another belt floating around?
That's a possibility.
Yeah. But I think Ziggler has also looked good down there. And so, and then we've always talked about how the roster is too big. So, for some of the people on the roster who maybe just can't fit in to the main product, for lack of a better term, maybe they have a home in Raw Underground. So, while the jury is still out for me, I want to see more and see where it goes.
Yeah. And then, of course, gotta talk about Retribution. Now, it started out okay. I won't say good. I'll say it started off okay. You know, the Molotov cocktail scene was alright, but then it just got goofy. Oh, we're flicking the lights on and off, and we're throwing center blocks through doors and flipping cars over and attacking the wrestlers. How do they keep getting in the building? Do you not have police? Like, make it seem like a real situation. And the other tell-all is that, the rumors going around the internet that the people on the TV in the masks are not the actual people that are going to be revealed as the actual faction of Retribution. The jury's out. Everybody's curious to who it could be. And I've heard Rusev's name thrown out there. Mike and Maria Kanellis. I'm trying to think of who else. Obviously, it's not EC3 and the Good Brothers. They've all signed with Impact. I've heard Ciampa. I've heard Dominic Dijakovic. But it's like, okay, cool. But what are they... Retribution, what are they getting revenge for? So I don't know. I'll be curious to see who gets revealed, but it needs to be big time. And I feel like it's not going to be big time. It's going to be a big waste of time.
Yeah, that's my worry. And I don't know if I'm just starting to get bored with Retribution at this point, or if I'm just not a patient person. Let's just have the reveal. Let's find out who they are. Now, some of the people you named, if it turns out to be them, that could be pretty good. Maybe their retribution is that, well, we don't feel like we were booked properly. We don't feel like WWE did right by us. So this is our way of getting our revenge. That might be an interesting concept depending on who the wrestlers are. And it looks like there must be about, 10 of them?
Well, at first, yeah, but now tonight it looked like 20 of them.
Yeah, they just need to reveal who it is. This is SummerSlam weekend. Maybe we see something at SummerSlam.
I do think they will be involved in SummerSlam. The whole tagline is, you won't see it coming. Okay.
I didn't even make that connection, but yeah, that's good.
Yeah, you won't see it coming. Oh, well, I guess we'll see. Because I just want the payoff to be good. Point blank, period. Give me something good for the payoff, and I will I will eat it. I will eat crow. And hey, all they paid off again. But I just don't have the faith. I really don't. Well, that's going to do it for us tonight. Appreciate y'all listening in. Make sure you check us out on Instagram at Third Generation Wrestling Podcast, as well as Twitter. You can email us at thirdgenwrestling@gmail.com. The poll will be up tomorrow and Sunday, so you all can put in your predictions and vote on who you think will win these matches. So make sure you check out our Instagram feed for that. And our previous shows we've done, the horror show Extreme Rules, post show. We did our very first movie review where I think Mr. Rob has finally recovered from.
I'm still in recovery from that.
A lot of you might remember that old 80s classic, No Holds Barred, starring Hulk Hogan and Tommy Tiny Lister Jr., a.k.a. Zeus, a.k.a. Debo. We got that, and we did we did a retrospective Spring Stampede from WCW, 1999. You gotta check that show out. Freaking hilarious.
Good show.
And yeah, that's what we got coming up. And we got 2 more shows this weekend. Thank you all for listening again. Make sure you all take care out there. Still a pandemic going on. I know I say it every show, but until we're out of this thing, I'm gonna keep saying it because I want this to be over with. I want us to move on, get past it, get back to being able to attend live shows because that was the other reason we started this podcast, so we could report on this show. Hey, look at Oscar. So, that's all I got, Mr. Rob.
Just always like to thank the listeners. We appreciate y'all. Let's hear from you.
All right, everybody. Take care. Enjoy your SummerSlam weekend. Cheers to you.